Testing, testing. We are officially live. Sorry for the, I am brand new with YouTube Live, y'all, so I'm still learning this whole process. Let me know if you can see the screen. Testing, testing. Okay, cool, cool. All right, all right. Okay, all right, cool, cool. All right. I saw your message. Like, come on, let's go, people. Where you at? Let's go, let's go. I am debuting on YouTube for the first time. Let's see what we get as far as an outcome today. All right, so let me know in the chat what ticker you want to look at today. And when you do so, let me know how you plan to play it so I can give it to you from that perspective. If you plan on day trading, if you plan on swinging, and if you plan on long term. So today, I got into a few plays. I got into Meta, call we swing. Okay, I got you. So today I got into Meta. I'm gonna hold Meta until probably until Thursday. I got into a put. I'm looking to ride Meta all the way down to around 629.12, right? I got in around this area. I really didn't anticipate it going up so quickly, uh, But nonetheless, like I said, I plan on swinging this for a couple days. So I just needed to break 632.64 and then 630.75. And my take profit is right here at 629.12. All right. All right. And I also got into an AMD call out to next Friday. And right now AMD is it's looking pretty good. When I last looked, I was up about 30%. Let's see, but right now we're consolidated on the 5-minute. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. All right, we got some nice upward momentum. She came out, she broke out of consolidation to the upside, right, which is what we want. Okay. All right, so we got a request. We got a request for CoreWeave. All right, so let's look at CoreWeave. CRWV. All right. I was actually looking to play CoreWeave down. Wow, CoreWeave ran up today. Jeez. Look at that. Up 15%. Did not anticipate that one from happening. All right, so we're going to swing this. All right, so let's go out to the daily. All right, as a matter of fact, let me remove these alerts. Okay, remove this last one. All right, cool. So if I'm looking to swing CoreWeave out for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, first I'm going to need it to break right above here, which is right at the top of this current wick on the daily. All right, so that's around 121.83. And once it breaks that, so what we also got to take into consideration too on CoreWeave, it is now at its all-time high, right? So because it's at an all-time high, but let me confirm that. Let me see, because I think it was actually higher. Hold on a second. I want to say it peaked at like 134, but I could be incorrect on that, and I don't want to give you the misleading information. Let's see. Also, the 52-week high stands right now at 121.46. Okay. All right, so just as I indicated, right, so I needed to break right above that wick at 121.83, and then right here we have the bottom of resistance at 127.30. So once it breaks that resistance, then we will continue to see some upward momentum. So right now we don't have any additional resistance above that, right? Why? Because it hasn't gone above its all-time high. So currently its all-time high, as I mentioned, is at 121.46. So I would look at that area of resistance right there at 121.46, right? So if it reaches that area and it rejects, then guess what's going to happen? It's going to come down. And if it does come down, I can see it coming down. Now keep in mind, we're looking at this on the daily, right? Now, I have the top of support at 103 flat, right? If it hits that, then if it breaks, gosh, I'm losing myself. If it rejects that all-time high and it starts to come back down, right? I would definitely grab some puts because it has the potential on the daily to come down to 103 flat, right? We saw last week when it came down to about it was like almost 98, right? So if we get that downward momentum and people start honing in on those put positions, then we definitely will start to see CoreWeave come down. But again, to the upside, I would need it to break that 121.83 to hit the top of resistance at 127.30, but again, it also needs to break that all-time high at, I believe I said 121.46. Okay, so I would look at, me personally, I would look at this area right here, that 121.83, as an area of entry. Okay. And I would just continue to monitor it on a daily basis. Why? Because this is a brand new IPO that IPO'd around February, if I'm correct, right? So what happens when it IPOs? It is going to it's going to continuously hit that all-time high over time, right? And if it keeps hitting that all-time high, what you got to anticipate is some type of pullback. Why? Because some folks are going to begin to take gains. All right, when they start to take gains, guess what's going to happen? It's going to start to pull it down. All right, so you got to keep that in. You got to keep that into consideration if you're planning on playing this for a couple weeks. All right. I hope that helps, Alika. What else we're looking at? So I'm actually still holding a UNH play to the downside as well, right? And as you can see, all of my alerts are already set, and I know it looks a little bit crazy, but nonetheless, I have my sensor set, and I'm looking to take gains around 287.04, and if that momentum keeps going, then I may let it run all the way down to around, oh wait, no, that's too far down. I'm bugging. I'm looking to take profit around 287.04, right? And we almost hit it. We almost hit my second level at 288.98 earlier today. But at this point, it's just a matter of being patient, right? Playing the stock market is a game of patience. If you do not have the patience, I'm not sure that this is going to be as beneficial as you believe it to be, all right? So this is a game of patience. I tell my clients all the time, either you will pay for patience or patience will pay you, right? And what do I mean by that is simply this. If you get into a position and based off of your technical analysis and you seeing it go into a specific price point, you just got to be patient, right? That's it. I like to keep things as simple as possible, right? So again, either you're going to pay for patience or patience is going to pay you. If you get into a position and you do an analysis expecting it to go to a specific price point and it actually reverses, meaning that it turns around and then you get out, guess what happened? Now you just paid the market, right? You just paid for patience instead of patience actually paying you, all right? So you got to be mindful of that, all right? That is the golden rule that I live by, okay? So let me recap real quick. So we just looked at CoreWeave, and I am in an AMD and I'm in a meta play. So AMD, I'm looking to ride AMD up to around 116.64, right? That's where I plan on taking profit on on AMD. All right, I am in a meta. I'm in a meta put, and I plan on taking profit on Meta around 629.12. I'm actually going to hold this position until around Thursday. Okay. NVIDIA. Let me look at NVIDIA. Okay, NVIDIA swing. All right, cool. So NVIDIA has earnings tomorrow, right after the bell, right? So if you are in some NVIDIA calls, I hope you got into them early. And the reason why is because there's a term called IV crush, right? And it will have a negative impact on your gains if you didn't get into an NVIDIA call to anticipate earnings early, all right? All right, so an NVIDIA swing, if I'm looking to hold NVIDIA for the next couple days, let's see, where's NVIDIA right now? I'm on 35.06. All right, so it's sitting right here. So I actually did an analysis on this earlier. So I need NVIDIA to break that 135.78. So I have a few levels, right? So I have 135.78 with a next level at 136.49. And right here at the bottom of resistance at 137.67, right? Now, if we know anything about NVIDIA, and we've been watching NVIDIA for the last few earnings, with the exception of the last one, I believe they really didn't hit as much as they normally do, because they normally move up anywhere between $10 to $15 on any given earnings. But the last one, I think it ran up maybe a couple of days after. Okay, but what we do know, where was NVIDIA last week? Last week, NVIDIA was in Saudi Arabia, right? Ginseng, he was in Saudi Arabia, cooking up in Saudi Arabia, right? So what he did was position himself for 2026, 2027, maybe even 2028, right? So long term, NVIDIA, man, listen, we already, if we played NVIDIA last year, we knew NVIDIA went all the way up to around $1,200, right? So imagine if you got into that position 2 or 3 years ago, right? And if I remember correctly, it was Ian, the master investor. He was the one that called NVIDIA out when it was at like $80, right? So just imagine if you were taking his position and he got into it early and you rolled it all the way up until the stock split. Man, the percentage gains on that is just insane, right? And again, it goes back to what I was saying about patience, right? Either you're going to pay for patience or patience is going to pay you, right? It is literally that simple, okay? All right, so again, going back to NVIDIA. So I needed to break that 135.78. It is not too far off, right? Because right now we are right here, 135.06, all right? And then break that 136.49, and then that bottom of resistance at 137.67. Now, if the earnings are as well as we anticipate, then of course it's going to break all of that, and now we're going to start to see NVIDIA in the 140s, right? Who knows? Maybe we can even push past the 140s and end up in the 150s. Okay. All right, Alika. So I hope that one helps on NVIDIA. So that would be my take on if I were to play NVIDIA to the upside. But again, you got to be careful if the plan is to play NVIDIA for earnings. All right, because that IV crush will do some damage on your gains. Okay. All right, y'all. What else are we looking at today? Good, good. Glad to hear. How's everybody feeling today? If you are feeling amazing, let me get a 1 in the chat. All right? If you are feeling amazing, let me get a 1 in the chat. Because guess what? We just had a 3-day weekend. At least most individuals had a 3-day weekend. And I know you were looking forward to the opening bell today. And the futures was green, right? So what that automatically told me that, guess what? The market is going to open green as well. All right? What's up, Corey? Appreciate you tapping in. Right? So because we saw that, what's up, Len? Appreciate you tapping in. So because we saw the futures was green, it automatically told me that the stock market was going to open up green. Right? When I first was looking at it, I believe. Hold on a second. I'm gonna give you the exact numbers that I saw earlier. When I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be a green kind of day. It was up almost 2%, right? SPX, the futures opened up $88 and some change. Oh, well, this was at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. when I was looking at it, right? So once I saw that, I already knew it's definitely going to be a take green kind of day. Right? I'm sorry, take gains kind of day. Okay? And you can also, and this is what I like to do during my pre-market analysis, right? You can gauge how the market's going to open when you look at the futures, right? Me personally, I am always looking at CNBC, right? All the information you need is right there, right? You got to make looking at this information part of your pre-market analysis. It's very, very important. Because you don't want to be at the opening bell and you have no idea on what type of tickets you're going to play, what your entries are, what your exits are, right? You want to make sure that you plan ahead, okay? Success loves the company of preparation, all right? This is a mindset game. 90% of this game is mindset, all right? I tell my clients this all the time. 90% is mindset, 5% is technical analysis, and the other 5% is emotions. So once you've mastered the mindset aspect of this game, you're already ahead of the masses, all right? And I also want everybody to remember this, right? It's all relative, right? It's all perspective based, right? Your strategy is your strategy, okay? You don't want to look at someone else's strategy and try to use their strategy, because guess what? It may not work for you. And then now you're going to start giving your gains to the market, right? It's supposed to be the opposite. The plan is to take gains out of the market, right? All right, y'all. So what we're looking at, what else are we looking at today? All right. And again, I appreciate you guys tapping in with me. This is my first live on YouTube, right? I know I had a little issue. Well, not really a little issue. Some technical difficulties when I first logged on, because I wanted everybody to see my actual screen. So I'm still trying to figure out the workings of how this actually works, because I set up the live. I scheduled the live to start at 11, and it did just that. It started at 11. The only problem was I wasn't able to screen share through that specific live. So what I'm going to do moving forward, until I figure it out, I'm just going to go live at the specific time versus actually scheduling it, and I'll just keep you guys updated as far as the actual schedule. So as of now, the plan is to go live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Okay. Thank you, Merlise. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you being on with me, being with me along this journey. Right, you were there for me when I was you were there with me when I was on Instagram, and then you shifted with me on to YouTube. So I definitely appreciate that. I do see that I'm able to reach more individuals, right? Because as you all know, it's all about impact for me, right? When I'm sharing this information with you, and if you can take this information and use it to the best of your ability based on my perspective, that's an overall win for me, right? That's it. It's all about impact for me, all right? All right, so TSLL swings. All right, so let's look at TSLL. What is TXL? I knew it had something to do with Tesla. All right, cool. All right, I got you, Alika. We're going to do LLY next. All right. So now, if you guys look at my chart, I know when I was looking at, when we were doing the lives on Instagram, I had a much more technical chart, right? This time, because I understand that there are a lot of new, as a matter of fact, if you are new tapping in with me on whether it's YouTube or used to tap in with me on Instagram, let me know now how far you are into your trading journey. If you are a new trader, I specifically set my chart up like this because I want to make sure that when I'm talking to individuals, especially the new traders, that they have a better understanding and a clearer picture when they're looking at the chart that I'm showing you guys. All right? Because right now I'm just simply using a support and resistance indicator. Okay? Because support and resistance will be key in setting those levels. Okay? So what is support? What is resistance? It just simply means, so from a resistance standpoint, when the price is going up and it keeps rejecting at a specific level, that is going to be a level of resistance, right? And then to the downside, if it keeps bouncing to the downside and rejecting, that is now a level of support, all right? And then once it breaks either or, then we get what is called a breakout, okay? So again, this is why I set my chart up like this, because I want to make sure that everybody has a clear understanding on what they're looking at, okay? All right, so let's tap into TSLL. Okay, all right, looking at TSLL. right? Right now we're at 1580. We're up almost just over 9% for the day. Okay. If did you say this is a swing? Okay, cool. All right, so if I was to play this, my entry would be at 1604. All right, and then I would ride it up till about 1671, which is at the bottom of resistance. All right, so let's see. All right, so okay, so this ticker has some history. Okay, all right, so I would need it. All right, so my entry again would be around 1604 with breaking resistance at 1671. Okay, and I would anticipate it, if it breaks it, we get a nice run up to around 18 and some change, right? But before we hit 18 and some change, we are first going to have to cross that 1743. Okay. Let's also look at the news. What's happening with the news as far as this specific ETF? Nothing specific. All right. I don't see anything as far as latest news on it. But what I also like to explain to my clients as well is that in order to make a move on the inside, you first have to understand what's happening on the outside, because what's happening on the outside is going to impact the price points, right? And then when you understand what's happening with the price points, now you're going to be able to make a better decision on the inside, whether you're going to get into a call, whether you're going to get into a put, if it's going to be a day trade, if you're going to swing it, if you're going to purchase shares to hold for the long term, right? You'll find all of that information taking place outside. All right, so you got to make sure you get that information first before you do anything. That is, I highly recommend that. Okay. All right, so again, swinging TSLL, right? My entry would be, if I'm doing this today, my entry would be at 1604, right? With resistance at 1671, with my next level at 1743 and 1853. All right. If we continue to get that momentum, now it's safe to say, considering this is a Tesla ETF, or is it a? Yeah, I think it's an ETF. It's simply moving off of what? Tesla, right? And we just got some positive news on Tesla earlier in regards to. Hold on a second. Let me see what that was, because I got an alert on it. I just didn't read it, because my plans wasn't to play Tesla today. Let's see. I think it has something to do with the tariffs, because I know Trump delayed the tariffs to July 9th, and I believe Tesla has something going on in the EU. So I think that's really what it was. But again, see, now you understand why it's important to understand what's happening on the outside versus what's happening in order to understand how to play on the inside, right? All right, so yeah, let's look a little deeper into this. I'm curious. All right, so yeah, that's it. It's just Tesla. They're just holding Tesla shares. That's it. There's nothing else is being done with this. Okay. All right. Well, again, we already understand. We just got to keep tabs on what's happening with Tesla in regards to this specific ticker. All right, Lynn. So if this helps, please let me know. Do you want a downside? Matter of fact, I'm gonna do a downside aspect to this too, because we also understand that what goes up must come down, right? Just as well as if it goes down, it also must come up too, right? Let me make this a little bit bigger. All right, so if TSLL falls below 1559, I personally would be looking at to get into some puts to offset all of those calls that I'm holding, right? Because if it breaks right here at that 1559, guess where it's going? Right here, right? As we can see here, we have some levels of rejection, right? Right there at 1513, okay? So if it breaks all of that, guess where it's going? Right here at the top of support at 1453, Okay. Now, again, the only way we're going to see all of this happen to the downside is if Tesla starts to reverse, right? So right now, Tesla is up. Let's see. And I'm actually in some Tesla calls. So right now, Tesla is up almost 5%. So $15 in some change. Tesla is up, way up, right? And because of that, now we see that impact on TSLL. Okay. Now so Len, what I want you to do, right? I want you to look at Tesla, right? And then I want you to look at Tesla and TSLL side by side. And I want you to look at that number right there. Right? And then when you look at that number right there, I want you to see what the comparison is. Right? So if Tesla is up, let's say right now Tesla's up 4.86%. Does that mean in the future, if Tesla's up 4.86%, will that move TSLL up almost 10%? Right? So I want you to look at that. All right? Very, very important. So you can have a better idea on how much of an impact Tesla is actually having on TSLL. All right? And then also to the downside. When Tesla is moving to the downside, what that percentage is, and just make a comparison. So at least you have a mental understanding on how or which way you want to play it. All right? Because that's how I look at. I am percentage-driven individuals, especially when it comes to the market, right? Because that percentage number, it makes a huge difference. All right? Very, very important. All right, cool. All right, you're much welcome, Lynn. Again, I appreciate you for tapping in. All right, an LLY swing. All right, Lika, so you're just getting started. So welcome, right? Welcome to the journey of trading in the stock market. And I'm going to tell you right now, just as well as I tell everybody else, you are worth every single gain you take out of the market. All right? Every single gain, right? If ever you misplace money, just make sure you take the lesson out of the misplacement. Okay? Very, very important, because what you don't want to keep doing is adding to your misplacing trades versus to your winning trades. All right? We've all been there, especially if you have experience in this game. Right? We've all been in a position where we'll see something and it just simply reverse. It's a part of the game. Right? Every single trade you get into may not be as successful as you anticipated. Okay? And then let's say, for example, perfect example, I was in the play last week. I think it was CoreWeave. My plan was to take gains at 30%. And then what happened? It hit 15%. Right? But what happened? Instead of me just taking the gains at 15%, it actually reversed at that 15%. Now it eventually came back, and I made what I anticipated making, but nonetheless, what if it would have continued on that reversal, right? Then I would have simply misplaced funds. Okay, so you got to be mindful of that, and this is why when you're doing your technical analysis, you have those levels set, right? So if it breaks this level, right, and then it hits your next level, and it hits your next level, and it hits your next level, but then guess what? If you see it struggling to get to that next level, and I'm speaking from a day trade perspective, if you see it struggling to reach that next level, then it's okay for you to take gains. Okay? Again, you are worth every single gain you take out of this market. All right? All right, so let's look at LLY. All right. Oh, LLY is moving really nice. I took some nice gains on LLY a few weeks ago. I think I played LLY for like a week straight. Maybe it was 2 weeks. Man, this is one of my secret boos right here. Okay. All right. Let's see. And you are looking to swing this. Okay. All right. So right now, LLY is up just above 1% for the day. All right. If I'm looking to get in today, I would need it to break right above 726.21. Right. Once it breaks that 726.21. we got the bottom of resistance at 739.37. Okay, and what we want to do is break that, right? Hopefully there's more than enough buyers in the market to push that up where we need it. All right, so right now the average volume is 4.63 and we're only at 1.46, right? So that volume really isn't there to push it up as far as we wanted to, but nonetheless, if we're swinging this, then guess what? We just gave ourselves time, right? And time will always be your friend in regards to making swings, okay? So again, so I would need it to reach this level for it to be my area of entry, okay? And then I would need it for it to run up, let that volume kick in, let those buyers come in and start to see how well LLY has become more investable again, if that's even a word, right? So let it ride up. And then this area right here would be an area of concern for me. Why? Because I see all of this rejection, right? So this would be, I would consider a key level of resistance, right? So if it breaks this, guess where we're going? We're going up in this area right here, right? Because it was previously consolidated from here to here, right? And then it broke out, but it didn't really break out, right? And more so tripped out, all right? So I would need it to break right about 785.42, and then we got another level at 794.20. So I would definitely be looking to hold this, because we're talking about a pharmaceutical company, right? We all understand how well these pharmaceutical companies do, right? They don't base, unfortunately, they're not basing anything on you getting better. They're just basing their information on you taking their product, right? It's unfortunate how these pharmaceuticals conduct business, but that's a whole nother conversation. All right. But yeah, so to the upside, my entry would be right above 726.21 for it to break the bottom of resistance at 739 with a key level of resistance, because as I said, it keeps something right here. It kept rejecting, right? Why? I don't know, right? But if it breaks that, we're going to get some momentum to the upside in between right here, okay? And then if it breaks that, then we're going to go here, all right? So that's how I would be looking to play LLY to the upside, all right? And we all know, again, what goes up must come down, what comes down must go up, right? And these guys were trading at some point, I believe, above $800. I mean, $900, right? They were above $900, right? So guess where they're gonna go back to at some point? $900, right? Or at least close to it as possible. So positioning myself for a long-term play on LLY, I believe it would definitely be beneficial. I am having talks with a good friend of mine, and we do plan on playing LLY to the upside. That is for sure. All right. But like I said, I like it when it starts to break right above that 726.21. Okay. So Alika, I hope that helps you get a better understanding, especially since you're just starting out. All right. And again, I appreciate you for tapping in. So we went over TSLL, we went over TSLL, we went over LLY, we went over NVIDIA, we went over CoreWeave, right? What else are we going to go over today? As I mentioned earlier, right now I'm in a Meta put. The plan is to ride Meta to the downside. Let me go look at her again, see where she's at. Right, she seems to be consolidated at this point, because every time I come back and look at her, she's around this 1.47 or 1.40 area, right? So as you can see, I have my alerts already set, and she is consolidated right there. Okay, and this is on the daily. All right, so like I said, I plan on riding her back down to my ultimate take profit is around 620, 64, but I'm all right with taking it at 629.12, right? But I just need her to break the 632 and the 630.75, all right? And I'm also in an AMD play. Like I actually got an alert on AMD that it broke a level that I had. I think that level was around 115 and some change. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what it was specifically. It was at 115.39. All right, so it rejected, which is why we're sitting at where we're sitting now. All right, my plan is to take profit around 116.64. So I just needed to break one more level to give me what I want, right? And you know what's going to get me there? Patience, right? Patience is going to pay me for sure. All right. Who else was in Saudi last week? And I'm about to say Nvidia, AMD, right? I can't remember the CEO's name, but if for those who don't know, ironically, the CEO of AMD and the CEO of Nvidia, they're cousins. How crazy is that, right? And I'm sure doing along that their journeys of building their companies, I'm sure they were pushing each other, right? I'm sure that was a beautiful relationship growing up. But yeah, so I am holding Nvidia until around 116.64. That is my take profit area. And right now I am up. Let's see. I'm up 46% on that play. And this is something I got into today. The plan was to day trade it, but I'm actually going to hold it until I hit that take profit or above it. All right. So what else we're looking at today, guys? All right. We got about another 12 minutes before we tap out. But tell me what else you want to look at. So we looked at LLY. Matter of fact, let me write this down. So we looked at LLY, TSLL, AMD, NVIDIA, CoreWeave, which is CRWV. What else? Meta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We looked at 6 different tickers so far, right? I think we have enough time for about 2 more. So let me know what else we want to look at today. And please share this live. Please spread the word that I am now on YouTube. I really want to reach as many people as possible. Okay? I appreciate you guys for taking this journey with me. This was a big step for me, right? I've never really looked at YouTube from this perspective. And now I understand that in order for me to reach the masses, I should be on YouTube, right? So that's why I switched over, right? Because my goal is to make as great as much of an impact as I can, right? I'm not sure if you guys would tap in with me at the beginning of May, but I did set a goal to impact 100 people as a personal goal for mine, right? And I think I'm around. I honestly can't remember. I think I'm in the 70s somewhere at this point, right? And that type of impact was more of an intimate setting, right? So you would lock in with me at a one-on-one session, and I will go more in detail on how to play this market, right? Because yesterday's market is not today's market. Every single day you play this market is going to be something different, all right? And if you don't have a clear understanding on how to adjust accordingly, this market is going to beat you up each and every time, right? This market isn't like any other market. Why? Because we have a completely different administration that now says one thing and the market will completely go to shambles, right? But then you can also say something cool and the market will run up, all right? So you got to keep that in mind. Again, yesterday's market is not today's market, okay? All right, so what else we looking at? We got about another 9 minutes. And I like to keep these videos short. Why? Because I don't want you guys to spend, if you decide to watch the replay, I don't want you guys to spend all of your time watching replays, right? I know everybody has other responsibilities out there. So I want to try to keep this as simple as possible. All right. I mean, not simple, but as short as possible. I think the longest live I've done so far was about 2.5 hours. And that was on the other social media platform, right? But I don't think I posted it though. But nonetheless, again, I like to try to keep this as short as possible so people could really sit down, take an hour to themselves, and like really hone in on the information that I'm sharing. All right. All right, talk to me, y'all. Come on, don't get quiet now. What else we want to look at today? So again, we looked at LLY, TSLL, AMD, NVIDIA, CoreWeave, and Meta so far. So what else we looking at? Come on, let me know. Let me know what you guys want to see. And I'll just simply give you my perspective, right? On when I would enter, as well as where I would exit and take my gains. All right, I will give you my perspective from a day trade. If your plan is to day trade, I will give you my perspective to swing if the plan is to swing. And I'll also give you my perspective long term. All right. So let me know what else you guys want me to look at. And don't be shy. Please don't be shy when you come on this channel. Right? I need you to come in here and talk to me. Right? The only way I'm going to be able to show you the information that you would like to look at is if you talk to me. All right? All right, so what's up? Can you take a look at oil stocks like XOM? All right, you got it. What's up, Terry? Appreciate you tapping in. All right, let's look at XOM. All right, so I'm looking at it on the daily. All right, so XOM, I'm going to give you two perspectives on XOM. I'm going to give you my day trade perspective, and then I'm going to give you my swing perspective. All right, so let's blow this up. So right now we're on a 5-minute time frame. All right, so if I was looking to play XOM, right? So right now, it's not up too much, right? But what you also got to take in consideration when you're looking at some of these tickers, you got to really understand how they move. All right, so what do I mean by that? Simply this: you have some tickers that move in dollars, and then you have some tickers that move in cents. All right, so what do I mean by that? Right, so as we see here, if this is up over 40%, that's only 44 cents, right? If this was up 100%, that would be closer to $1, right? So for every 1% this moves, it's almost safe to say that it moves up $1, all right? So for every 50.50% it moves, that's almost 50 cents, right? So you really got to understand, as I mentioned earlier, why it's important to understand the percentage when you are playing these tickers, right? If they're moving in dollars or they're moving in cents, okay? Because that way you can really understand how to really play it from a strike price perspective, okay? Very, very important. And no, thank you for about how about CW long term? All right, I'll look at CW right after. LTM in a 500. All right, give me a second, guys. All right, let me finish with XOM. All right, so if I were looking to play XOM right now, right, I would, let me blow it up a little bit. All right, so it just came out of consolidation, right, about, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, about 30 minutes ago. It broke out of consolidation to the upside. But guess what happened? It rejected around 103.64, 63, 103.63, right? So if I were to play this for a day trade, right, I would need it to fall anywhere below 103.47 and 103.42. If it fell anywhere in this area, right, and I'm seeing that the sellers are really taking over, then this will be my area of entry at 103.42. But then guess what? We have support at 103.39, right? So I would be watching that area very, very closely. But if it breaks it, then we have the potential to come into this area right here, right? 103.23, right? And then I probably will be looking to take profit right there, right? And again, because this specific ticker, it moves in cents. It doesn't move in dollars unless there's something, a catalyst event taking place, okay? But now, to the upside, it is for sure going to have to break above 103.63 for me to get in, and then I would ride it somewhere around here because it's been there before, right? We see right here, it got into consolidation right there, right? It rejected right there, right? So then that would be my level right there. Oh, so look what happened. It is going to the downside, right? Right? We just talked about that. See, I just set that alert, right? So now it looks like the sellers are coming in, all right? But then again, my entry would be around this area right here, 103.42. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, right there, 103.42. All right, so if I was to day trade this, okay? But now if I'm going to swing it, all right, so now we want to zoom out and really look at, see what's happening, right? Put it like this. Okay, if I was to swing it, I still needed to break that 103.83, and I'm going to need to see that buyer's momentum really coming in strong, right? Let's look at the volume real quick, right? So your average volume is 14.46. Right now we're at 4.88. So it's not that much buyers really looking at XOM, all right? But that doesn't mean it can't gain any momentum, right? Because again, we're looking to swing this, right? I don't know anything about the oil industry in regards to tickers, but nonetheless, I would definitely have to see what's happening outside in order for me to really make a decision inside, all right? And it's still coming down. It just hit that 103.43, right? So it's coming down, all right? But like I said, so to the upside for me to swing it, I needed to go above that 103.83, and then we have the bottom of resistance at 105.06. All right. If you look here, it was consolidated at some point, right? So we have multiple layers that I'm going to need it to break going to the upside. Okay. So first it would have to break that 106.61 and then all the way up at 108.99. Now, of course, we know that's going to take some days. So that would give me a nice, oh, there she's coming down, right? So guess what? I would have gotten in at that previous alert, and I would have been taking gains in that area. No, I'm sorry, taking gains at that 103.23, right? So we're not too far off, right? But again, to the upside, I would need it to break. I'm sorry, with that 103.83, then bottom of support at 105.06, and then another level at 106.61 for it to run to get some kind of momentum. As a matter of fact, I'm going to need it to break 107.62 and to get some more momentum up to that 108.99. All right. Yes, please. I'm new to this, so I forget to. I haven't conditioned myself to start saying stuff like this, right? So please subscribe and like the channel. All right. To my understanding, when you subscribe and like, it helps push the information out to the algorithm. Right, and that's one thing I'm looking to do is start to get on the wave of the algorithm. So please like and share this information. All right. Woo. All right. So Terry, I hope that helps. All right. Please let me know. All right, Mr. Ray. Let's look at CW long term. All right, CW. What's CW? Why does that sound familiar? Oof. What is this? Curtiss-Wright Corporation. Okay, hold on. Let me see what this is. Never seen this one before. I love to hear about new tickers. All right, what is Curtiss-Wright? Let's see. engages you providing engineered products, solutions, and services mainly to aerospace. Oh, okay. That would explain why they are up so much. Okay. Okay. The aerospace industry. Okay. Defense. Whew. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the mix of government contracting. Okay. All right. Whew. Okay. I have to keep my eye. Let me write this down for sure. I gotta keep my eye on this one. Appreciate this. CW. All right. And what was the last one we looked at? XON. All right. All right. Let's go. Let's do some analysis on this baby. All right. And you are looking to. All right. Cool. Glad to hear that, Terry. You are more than welcome. Oh, what's up, Deb? I got you. I got you. Well, thank you for tapping in, Deb. I truly appreciate you. All right, where'd you find this ticker at? Man, were you looking at a lot of defense plays? I'm curious to know how you came across this one. All right, so right now it's sitting at 442.95, okay? And it's up 3.38%, which equates to what? 14.50, right? So again, remember how important those percentages play, all right? So if I were to look into this, okay, cool. If I were to look into this, I would need to go above 440, 444.40, all right? So that's 444.40, all right? In order for me to start to see some momentum to hit the bottom of resistance at 449.72. Is this at an all-time high? Hold on, let me not all-time. Let me just look at the 52-week high. Hold on a second. Let's dig a little deeper. All right, 52-week high is 443.68. Yeah. We are at a 52-week high. Ooh. Oh no. This is gonna have to pull back, right? This is gonna have to cool off because we all know what happens when we reach an all-time high. Folks are going to be looking to take gains. So me personally, I would need this to cool off a little bit. Let it to hit or break the top of support around 428, or maybe even right here, right? Because like I said, we're looking at the daily, so around 434.35. I like that area right there, right? Well, to the downside at least. Down to the upside, it's really kind of hard to judge the upside only because, like I said, we are at an all-time high. Well, the 52-week high, excuse me. Now, if it breaks this 444.40, right, we can potentially see some momentum up to 449.72. Now, let's look at the volume. I definitely always like to look at the volume, right? So the average is 2.51, all right? And right now we're at 171, which explains why we are moving up relatively fast, okay? But if it breaks this at 444.40 and does not reject at that 449.72, we are going to see some more upward momentum, which is amazing, right? This thing has been moving since the end of April. So, wow, yeah, this thing has been cooking, right? Even you're going to go a little bit farther back, it's been moving since the beginning of April, right? Look at that. That's beautiful, man. That's what you want to see if you're in some swings, for sure, right? Yes, I'll catch it low or swing lead. Yeah, for sure. I like this. I'm gonna do a little bit more research on this. I like this, but I personally would definitely wait for a pullback because, like I said, what goes up must come down, right? It is up relatively high, and it already passed its 52-week high, which was at 443, and right now we're sitting at 440. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go look at it again. Sorry. Yeah, so the 52-week high is at 44368, right? So did I hit it today? Yep, it was today. Today it hit that 52-week high. So yeah, I'm gonna need it to pull back, at least to at around 434. Okay. Um, but even to the downside, if it breaks that 428.44, then we are going to see in this area right here around 418.24, right? Because again, what happens when you reach an all-time high? Folks are going to start taking gains. It is almost guaranteed, right? Because I know personally, if I was holding this position and it reached up to 443 and some change, absolutely. If I'm in the options play, yeah, I'm going to sell a few contracts, right? Which is going to impact the buying power, right? So, Deb, I hope that helps. I hope my perspective on CW helps. And again, thank you for this ticker. You have definitely put this one on my radar. Right? I'm gonna have to go down the rabbit hole on this one. So I appreciate that. No worries, no worries. You didn't have to switch over. It's fine. But again, I appreciate you tapping in for sure. So thank you. All right. What else? What we're looking at? All right, CW. All right. So now we're gonna look at LMT. Is that Lockheed Martin? Oh, sure is. Oh man, I made some gains, some nice gains on Lockheed Martin a while ago. I haven't played this in a while. All right, so you're in a $500 swing, okay, to September, and you're currently down 17%. Well, when did you get in? Because if you're down 17, did you get in this area? Because we're on the daily. So did you get in last week, or maybe early in the month, like maybe the 15th or the 14th? Because the only way I can see you being down at this point is if you got it probably around here, around 464. No, I'm sorry. Actually, it will be this area right here, because it's almost right there. But yeah, let me know when you got in, Merlise. I'm curious about that. Really, really curious. But so, if I were to play this to the upside, let's zoom out. Since you plan on playing this to September, let's look at the 3-day, right? Right now, we are consolidated, all right? And it looks like we're consolidated, getting some upward momentum. But my only concern is that it rejected right here at the bottom of resistance at 482.74, right? And we all know what happens when it rejects, right? It is going to come back down. So it's possible that we probably can see somewhere around 455.43 before we really start seeing some good upward momentum. And hopefully it doesn't break that 455.43, because if it does, guess where we're going? 445.67. Okay? All right, so let's go zoom in a little bit again. All right, so right now it needs to break that 472.74, right? And then if it breaks that, it's gonna have to break around 475.42, and then we got the bottom of resistance at 477.90, right? So we got a little ways to go, and right now we're in May, getting ready to touch June. So you got some nice time. Definitely got some nice time, because I'm not sure who the CEO of Lockheed Martin is, but that TSLL is crossing 1604. I'm gonna repeat, that TSLL is crossing 1604. Who did I look at the TSL for? Lynn. All right, so we're crossing that 1604. But yeah, so going back to LMT, I'm not sure who the CEO is, but you got to ask yourself this question: was that CEO in Saudi Arabia last week or the week before last? I can't remember which week it was, but was he or she in Saudi Arabia last week? Because if they were not, I don't know. All right, if you look and see who was in Saudi Arabia last week, they already gave you the plays. All right, you just got to take the time and break it down based on your technical analysis. All right, but if they were, well, we already know they have a pretty decent future for the next couple years. Now, can it hit 500 by September? I don't see why it couldn't. Right, because it's 500 is right there. Right, we're not that far. Just above $25 in order to hit that. Right, it has the potential. Absolutely, I do like it. I do like it. But you, like you said, you're already down 17%. So now I want you to also take into consideration this, right? When you are down, right, I want you to look at it from this perspective. Put yourself in a hole, right? The deeper that hole goes in, meaning the deeper you let your percentage fall, the deeper it's going to dig that hole even deeper, right? It's going to make it harder for you to come out of that hole, meaning it's going to take longer for you to get back into the area of you making money, right? So you got to keep that into consideration too. Make sure you are setting your stop losses. Very, very important. All right. Got on a while ago, missed exit. So they were in Saudi. Well, say less. And you're holding it out to September, say less. Just make sure that you have your stop loss in place, right? Because looking at it right now, let's see, we run the daily. What was it? The 3-day I was looking at earlier, right? So looking at the 3-day, we rejected right here at the bottom of resistance at 482, around 482.74, which means we may still have some more downward momentum right here. So let's look at it from a weekly perspective, right? It's officially consolidated on the weekly. Now, the great thing about it on the weekly, we got some upward momentum, all right? So from a weekly perspective, again, we just got to break that 472.74 and then 475.42 and then 477.90, and we could keep pushing, right? If it breaks, if it keeps breaking these levels, right, we're gonna be in a good position, right? But we have a long ways to go in a short period of time. All right. So, but the potential is definitely for sure, especially if that CEO was in Saudi Arabia. All right. If you did not follow what was happening in Saudi Arabia, right, we had a whole team of CEOs out there talking business, right? They were out there talking some serious business. All right. So do your own due diligence on that one. All right. Very, very important information was discussed out in Saudi Arabia. All right. So please make sure you go and take a look at that information. All right. All right. So let me write this down too. So LMT. All right. So there we have it, folks. We are almost at the hour and 15 mark. Actually, I think it's a little bit less because I ended up logging in a little bit later. But nonetheless, I appreciate each and every one of you for tapping in with me on my very first YouTube live. This really, really means a lot. All right, I appreciate you guys. Yeah, man, this really, really means a lot. So if this information has brought value to you, I will appreciate you sharing it. Yeah, this is beautiful, guys. And again, thank you for tapping in with me. And I want each and every one of you to have an amazing Take Gains kind of Tuesday. All right, and we will be back on Thursday at 11 a.m. All right. Thank you, guys. You guys have an amazing day.